That is documenting our party's progress since our party leader was elected the last 1 year. This is an opportunity for you to showcase, to illustrate the major achievements that we have achieved and the strides we have made as a party in supporting our party leader. Remember, President William Ruto was not elected on the Kenya Kwanza ticket, but he was elected on the UDA party ticket.
Yep.
So it becomes upon, or incumbent upon us as a party to make sure that all promises that were made by the president, who is also the party leader, are implemented. So as a party, we are really honored, or as a department, we are really honored to have you today. But we'll start from the ground to understand who is Nicodemus Bore. You hold a very important position in this party in terms of being the executive director. Looking at the party constitution, you are responsible for the day-to-day running of the party and managing of the secretariat. So it is our biggest honor to have you on this interview. And just to start, we would want to understand your whole journey in terms of who is Nicodemus Bore.
Yes, thank you very much and welcome to this office. I'm also proud to have you in my office. And I think what you are doing is good to showcase to the world what UDA is all about and the leadership that UDA has. As you've said, my name is Nicodemus Bore. My middle name is Kipchirchir. So those who are Kalenjin will understand what Kipchirchir means. He was born when in a hurry to come. Yes, I think that is it. I was born in Nakuru. And I went to school in Nakuru, all the way from primary to secondary school. I am a teacher by profession, but left teaching in between. The last station I taught was Kapsabet Boys. I taught chemistry and physics, so I'm a scientist. And I dropped teaching, and I embarked on human resource. So I did also a degree in human resource at Moi University, and also a master's in strategic planning in Moi University. I've enrolled for a PhD, so tunapambana na makaratasi, and I think that is, I am 46 years old. Yep, married with children. Yes. Anything else I need to add on that?
I think that is sufficient. Probably would also be interested to understand how did you get yourself in public life in terms of working for a political party?
When I left teaching around 2007, I was employed by Kenya Secondary School Heads Association as their first CEO, and I served as a CEO for Kenya Secondary School Heads Association. I was later picked by the African Confederation of Principals, and I served as a CEO for the African Confederation of Principals, where all principals of secondary schools in Africa are. I also am a member of International Confederation of Principals, where all principals internationally serve. So in 2012, I sat in the presidential campaign team of Uhuru Ruto, and I served in 3 counties: Nandi, Vihiga, and Kakamega. So I was in charge of 23 constituencies for the Uhuru Ruto election of 2013. That's how I found myself in politics.
Okay.
But before that, I had participated in this local politics. Kutafuta him councillor. Siku alikuwa anaitwa councillor.
Yes.
MPs, And that time there were no governors. The first governor that time came in 2013. So before 2013, 2007, tulikuwa wakereketo wa ODM when we were in ODM. So I've also been a member of ODM, URP, and Jubilee. After 2013, I joined Jubilee as a director of membership at Jubilee headquarters, where I served until 2020, when we were all sacked unceremoniously. Yeah. Mimi nilifutwa kazi na dereva. Niliamka asubuhi, kaambiwa barua yako hii, umefutwa kazi. Na nikafutwa kazi na dereva. Imagine. I was a director, but I was sacked by a driver. Very interesting times. But at that time, we had started working very closely with the Deputy President, trying to see how we can manage the transition from Uhuru Kenyatta. Remember, Uhuru Kenyatta had said, yako kumi, yangu kumi, yako kumi. So we had started working on the yako kumi for William Ruto, but we didn't know the politics behind the change that had taken place on our President Uhuru Kenyatta at that time. So that's how I found myself. That's my political journey.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, quite interesting. Now, you lead one of the biggest political parties, actually the biggest political parties in the country.
Yes.
Which is also running the day's government. UDA, barely 3 years old, with this huge success. How did we get here? How did party begin?
You know, in 2021, 2019, 2020, just after, during Corona,
Yes.
when things started going wrong in the Jubilee side, and people who worked with Jubilee and were seen to be associates with the Deputy President were being held out of office. One of the days, the Deputy President called me and asked that I come to Karen in Nairobi. At that time, Jubilee had just changed the National Management Committee, and the Gazette was out. And you know the work of the National Management Committee is to manage the day-to-day activities of a party. So without the knowledge of the members, there was a change of the National Management Committee. So that triggered the antenna of many members that something is going on in Jubilee, and sooner or later we are going to be held out of Jubilee. So we started the process of looking for a friendly party that was in coalition with Jubilee. Then we landed on PDR. So I worked very closely with other leaders to expand, first of all, to expand the National Executive Committee of PDR. At that moment when we joined, PDR had 54,000 members. And the likes of the Secretary General was Sahal Mohammed. The chair of PDR at that time was, do I still remember the chair of PDR? But we had even MPs who were members of PDR. And remember, PDR was in coalition with Jubilee. So when we expanded the PDR NEC to include regional balance, we asked leaders to propose members who can join PDR in readiness for that. And we had the inclusion of people like Akina Sande Omwami, people like Akina Seth Panyako, people like Akina Ngodho, people like Akina Cecil Wairimu. Those are the people that came in to support NEC. And those were the original NEC members of PDR. And then we converted PDR to change its name to UDA with 54,000 members. In 6 months' time, we had reached 1.8 million members. And currently, the second biggest party after Jubilee is UDA with million members. Yes.
Good. Just for the viewers to understand, what informed the choice of the name UDA?
United Democratic Alliance. Remember before we had what we call United Republican Party,
Yes.
URP. And the wisdom of the leaders at that time was we want to bring the country together.
Yes.
So we use the word united. Democratic is that we are aligned to democratic practices, democracy, and party, because we are a party. That's what informed United Democratic Party. Yeah. We wanted the ideals of democracy to be put in front of everyone else, because we were struggling in Jubilee. The dictatorship that was there caused members to make sure that the next party that we are going to run will be so democratic and so transparent that you can be able to predict what will happen. Yeah.
Why did this section of members who were in Jubilee and they felt disgruntled? Why was there no decision to form just a new political party versus joining an affiliate that was already in the Jubilee coalition?
One is because the political parties, the ORPP,
Yes.
and the Political Parties Act
Yes.
does not allow you to join any other party. If you join any other party while you are elected in another party, you are deemed to have resigned from that position. So we look for a party that has allegiance with the original party, and that was PDR that had allegiance with Jubilee, so that we can still transact our business in the House, at the same time supporting a party that is in coalition with the government of the day. Yeah, because remember at that time we were in government. Yeah.
Now it takes us back to, of course, the coalition between the then President Uhuru Kenyatta and the then Deputy President William Ruto. What were the background events that led to the fallout, to an extent that even efforts led by the church leaders or even council of elders could not bring the two warring parties on the table and have an amicable solution of moving together, unlike events that followed that led to complete disassociation and you then at that point going to PDR and starting a new journey of forming another political outfit?
In fact, in most meetings that we had, the then Deputy President, current President, believed that he will still have a chance to salvage the relationship that was in Jubilee between him and the President. In fact, he was the last person to leave Jubilee and join UDA. He believed that there will be a chance to recover the lost glory that we had in Jubilee. In most cases, he thought maybe that the President was joking. It will not come to that bit of saying that now it's the end of the relationship between Jubilee and UDA until, Jubilee and the Jubilee of William Ruto and the Jubilee of Uhuru Kenyatta. Until when now the handshake came in, the BBI things started showing face. There were total humiliations of our Deputy President. Some of us who are working with the Jubilee Party were sidelined. I remember the election that we had for Kiambaa. I was still working for Jubilee, but we were not allowed even to participate in decision making of Kiambaa. Though actually that time we were moles of UDA in Jubilee. Yes.
Okay. Would you like in summary say that the fallout between President William Ruto and the then President Uhuru Kenyatta was largely aggravated by the handshake between the then President and of course the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga?
I believe the former President had planned this long before. The handshake was just a way of justifying, because even before 2017, you could see signs and tells that things are not working in the right direction. Yeah, you could see the way the president was treating his deputy. And you could hear in 2017 the people like Akina Morade saying the president will be very different from 2017 going forward. He will change, he will be ruthless, he will chase away all corrupt members, while referring to the deputy president's camp. So I think it was pre-planned all along, only that the handshake brother came to aggravate the situation. Yep.
Now, if you look at it from the prism of management of political parties, you served as the director of membership under Jubilee. And if you remember well, Jubilee was the biggest outfit at that point.
Yes.
In terms of structure and setup, even the legal requirements, documents, do you think Jubilee was properly structured and grounded then when you were there?
Yes. Jubilee was a very strong party. We had all the things going for us. We were in government. We had the biggest majority members of parliament in both houses. We had even a big number of MPs, governors and MCAs across the country. So the Jubilee had everything going for themselves. But in terms of decision making, that's where the problems came in. Yeah, but we thank the political parties act, because it protected some of us while those decisions were being made, because we have to follow certain rules and regulations before even expelling members of a political party. You had in 2021, there were so many cases in Jubilee Party trying to expel members of parliament, including Madam former women rep of Nairobi. Yes. So they tried everything they could, but it wasn't possible because of the laws protecting membership in a political party. Yeah.
UDA, barely 3 years with this huge success. In terms of priority or ranking, what was this biggest success that you could attribute to the UDA, of course, apart from presidency?
First of all, UDA, when we came to become an existing party, we did not have any financial muscle. We really struggled even to get money to do by-elections. Remember, we had so many by-elections at that time. Remember the London by-election, where we really struggled with the police and the government of the day, but the people had made up their mind. So I attribute the success of UDA party to its leadership and the loyalty of the people. Because once the people made up their mind, they surmounted all things that had been put on their way. So I think it is the loyalty of the people and the leadership at that moment. Remember, our party leader is an astute politician, and the party became accommodative. Yes, it became accommodative, and any leader who was in that party, though they were being harassed by government, they decided that this is the party that they want to belong to. And that's why the party became what it is today. Yeah.
Good. Now, looking at UDA versus the then Jubilee, then of course before the merger of TNA and URP, we've had a history of parties that come with a lot of force, with a lot of bound, but they don't leave the test of time. Comparative to KANU, and probably the nearest comparison would be ODM. You as the executive director of UDA, what is the future for you? Do you see UDA suffering the same fate of its predecessors, Jubilee, and so on?
From the beginning, the deputy president then was building Jubilee to be a party for the future.
Yes.
So he was so much disappointed when Jubilee suffered the same fate as all other parties that have become that are incumbents.
Yes.
Once you attain power, you destroy the party that brought you to power. Remember the PNU, when it became when they produced the president. Immediately after, it was swallowed by the government. There was then the NAC, remember?
Yes.
When Kibaki came to power, immediately after it was dissolved. Now, one of the main emphasis that the president has always put on the table for us is that this party must outlive its leadership. That we don't have to build a party that immediately after gaining power or losing power, it disappears. And we have put structures in place to allow the party to be owned by its members. That's why we are going for the grassroots elections, so that the membership of UDA can own the party. We will have elections from all the way from the polling centers up to the national level, so that now when you talk to the party membership, it is the party membership that own the party. That will make the party strong and sustainable for the future. We don't want to have a situation where maybe 50 years from now, when we lose an election, the party disappears. Yeah, we don't want that situation should not happen. Yeah.
Okay. Now, looking at the structure of UDA, we have elaborate outfits, including the Youth League, Women League, and people living with disabilities.
Yes.
Going forward as a party, specifically focusing on the issues of mainstreaming these specific groups, what are some of the strategies or plans you have as the head of the secretariat to ensure that these people work together?
First of all, when we started the party and we formed the secretariat early in 2020, all the people who were working in the secretariat by then were volunteers, because the party did not have any money to pay these members. So we had a group of volunteers, among them very young workers who had just either finished the university or been seconded by leaders for the purpose of assisting the party grow. Most of those members, when the positions of MCAs came, we encouraged most of them either to run, and if they were not able to run, we nominated most of them to be members of county assemblies. So we have quite a number of nominated MCAs who are working for the party. And as you know, the biggest number of nominated MCAs are for gender top-up. So most of them are youthful ladies, and that those ones make the biggest group of the women caucus. So on 13th of October, there will be the first Women Congress of UDA party. If you sit with the president, he will always tell you the biggest group of people that supported him were the women.
Yes.
And the president signed a charter with them in Nyayo Stadium. We are going to evaluate the progress of the signed charter and see how far are we as a party in encouraging women leadership, both in government and in the party. You will always note that the first Secretary General of this party was Veronica Maina, a woman. The current chair lady is a woman. So this party has a very soft spot for women of this country. We want to create a very strong women congress, the likes of ANC, and CMC of Tanzania. So that if you have a strong Congress of women and youth, then the party becomes vibrant. And the leadership of the party will always put in consideration women. The president, when he came in, he said he's going to give 50% of cabinet position to women. And as you can see, he has lived to his word. Most women are, most of his cabinet members are women. Those who sit in the, not only in the cabinet, but also in other positions of government are women. So he has also introduced the two-third gender rule in parliament. So I think we are in the right place. Women, all women of Kenya, this is the party where their cases are going to be considered. If you want to become, you want to, your voice to be heard, please join UDA. Yeah. Maybe to add on to that, even in the grassroots elections, all the positions that we are going to have must be gender compliant. If there are 4 positions, 2 are women, 2 are men. If it's youthful positions, because we have 4 youth members in the polling center, 2 are women, 2 are men. When we are having the big positions like the chair lady, or the chair of the party in the polling center, or the chair of the party in the county or in the constituency level, the running mate must be of either gender. So if you are a chair, the vice will be of either gender. If it's a woman, then the next person will be a man. Secretary, the same one, and treasurer, the same thing. Yeah. So we will be gender compliant all along. Yeah.
Very good. Now, just to pull you back to the 2022 general election, a young party that was barely 2 years, presenting a presidential candidate, of course, with the running mate, in an election that was considered to be extremely close, tough, based on ideas and ideologies.
Yeah.
You as the executive director, what were your key takeaways, or in terms of memory, what were the key standouts in that election?
Our nomination. We did a nomination the size of a general election with minimal financial muscle, and we had a free and fair nomination. What measures a free and fair nomination is the product of that nomination. The people who won that nomination eventually won the national election, the IEBC election in August of 2022. Those who won the nomination in April of 2022 managed to again win the election the same year. So that means we elected popular candidates who eventually won the elections. That is my first takeaway. For you to have a strong party, you must create avenues and also have a free and fair nominations. The people who took us to PPDT, eventually the PPDT gave the same verdict like the one that the internal dispute mechanism gave for UDA. So that means we did a very good exercise in terms of nomination. The second one is the resilience of our members. That's why it is very important to have loyal members. We had very little defections. The people who defected early enough, even before nominations. But after nominations, we were able to bring them together, and they were able to support the leaders that won the nominations. That's how we were able to get the 138 members of parliament, and the senators, and the governors, and the MCAs that we have at the moment. So I think one of the takeaways is, 1, good nominations, free and fair. 2, loyal members and resilient members. And I think the third one is the power of prayer. Yes, the power of prayer. In all our meetings, the president kept emphasizing that we must bring God into our midst before we do anything. And I think that one gave us a very strong start-off point in favor with God. Yeah.
It has been said that UDA organized itself properly, better than its competitors. Citing an example of agents, the party did a very elaborate plan, agents, training, deployment. Would you say organization contributed to the win of UDA in 2022?
First of all the agents that we had, most of them were volunteers. The process of identifying agents was inclusive. All the leaders participated in identifying our agents. Secondly, we had an elaborate training for all our agents. And we made sure all our agents are present during the exercise of training. Thirdly, we made sure all our agents were present on the day of the elections. We kept on monitoring them. Where are you? Have you arrived at the station? Did you open the station? What did you find in the station? You know, we kept on having, we kept on looking at what they were doing the whole day. We had a reporting mechanism at 9 o'clock in the morning. First of all, at 6 when they opened the polling station, at 9 o'clock, at 11 o'clock, at 3 o'clock. So you can monitor how far we are in terms of if it is a stronghold, are our voters coming out to vote? If it is our weak areas, are the opponents' voters coming out to vote? So that we can counter with our strongholds. That's how we were able to monitor our elections. By the end of 9th of August, by 9 o'clock, we already had our results, because we had a way of collecting our results. So when people are saying that the elections have been won by Azimio, we already had our results. And on 9th, we didn't need to go to Bomas. None of our agents went to Bomas. We were in our command center looking at the results from each and every polling station. Once we received all our Form 34Cs, that's when we went to Bomas with our results. We were surprised that Azimio members were already there on the 9th. Even the portal had not started receiving results, and they didn't have anything. So we went there. First of all, when we arrived on the 11th of August, we displayed we had files from each and every county with our forms, 34As. When we had 34As, when we started going through the documentation given by IEBC, Azimio didn't have any paper. They didn't have any document. So they were wondering where we got the 34As, and they started complaining that you guys already are rigging, because where did you get 34As? Yet 34As were in the portal you could print. Now we had our calculators, because you can't count votes using fingers and nails. Them they didn't have. When they realized that you need a calculator, they went and bought new calculators. And then they realized, some of them also realized, I think they thought you need a tablet, because they brought new tablets. And you know, a computer without information inside is just a blank document. So they bought new tablets, and they were starting to install softwares at the floor of Bomas. And you know, as we were continuing with the exercise that you're supposed to because if you have participated in these elections, once you are an agent, the presidential agent at the Bomas of Kenya, your work is to verify that the 34A that you have from your polling station is the same 34A that has been received by IEBC. Once you verify that, you put it aside, because that means there is the results you have received is the one that IEBC has received. That is the exercise that you do in Bomas. There is no magic. There is no. It is not it is not something that comes from the moon. You just need your documents and you verify. So they kept on interrupting our exercise, because whatever the IEBC agent was telling us, we kept on saying, correct, put that one aside, pick another one. Then they didn't have. They asked, okay, can we photocopy for you? How can you ask IEBC to photocopy for you the 34As? So what are you verifying? It seems you are also verifying the 34A that you are given by IEBC. Yes. And we, from hindsight, the experience we had in 2017 and 2013, IEBC had made sure that the 34As, the duplicates that we were receiving from the polling stations, had security features. And one of the security features is a watermark that you can only identify using a UV light. So we had our UV lights, and at one point you had them shouting that they need UV lights. So they were being asked, IBC cannot supply you with UV lights, you need to get them. And as we had them, whenever we get a Form 34A, the first thing you do is use the UV light to check whether it is authentic. Yeah. Because in 2017 they were able to sneak a few 34As into some files, and that's how we went back to an election. Yeah. So that's how we were able to organize ourselves. And at the Bomas floor, we had organized ourselves into groups. The first batch comes in from 6 in the morning up to maybe midday. From midday, another group comes in up to 4. From 4, another group comes in up to 11. From 11, another group comes in up to morning. It was a cycle, non-stop. And we thank Madam Cholet. She was in charge of that. She did a wonderful job. We didn't have food, because every time they brought our food, the government at that time picked our food and threw it away. So we were surviving on goodwill from people who are some we could get food from our friends. We didn't have food from common food that is usually the procedure, that agents who are working there up to late in the night, the party will provide them food. So they could bring food na inamwagwa pale kwa mlango. Yeah. And sometimes mkitoka nje, when you come back, you are in, but now you are being told that your name has been removed from the list. So we really struggled with the number of few people we had. And some of the people, Mr. Ishungwa, Honorable Ishungwa, Aaron Cheriot, governors who are there, Governor Welgeo Marakwet, Maura, the NEB chair, they worked day and night for 3 days non-stop. We slept at Bomas, because when you leave, you don't know whether you will come back. Yeah. So the resilience of our members and the dedication and commitment, and also the encouragement by the party leader. He could call and give us encouragement. You guys, we are just here waiting for your results. Please don't put your guard down. We are waiting for those results, and that encouraged us. Yeah.
People who watched what happened to Bomas, of course there was a bit of fracas, and as it has snowballed, we've even had the president himself mention efforts by a section of leadership, including the National Security Council. We remember even when he was appointing the head of course, the military. The president was explicit that they were attempts to subvert the will of the people.
Yeah.
In your own opinion, do you think if IBC had not stood this ground, and of course with the chairman following strictly the law, would the will of the people would have been overturned exactly at Bomas?
I think the process, as we say, the chairman of IEBC kept on saying, election is not an event. It doesn't happen on the same day. The election process started long time ago. So we attended so many IEBC meetings where we contributed into what eventually became the procedures of election. So by the time we went to IEBC, by the time we went to an election on 9th, we were quite sure that no one could subvert the results of that election, because we had done even dry runs using IEBC systems to check if somebody votes. Remember when we did some dry runs with the test of a few counties?
Yes.
You vote here and we see how the results will be received at the portal of IEBC. So we were quite confident when going to that election that if IEBC followed procedure, then we will get a free and fair elections. Our party leader kept insisting that eyes on the ball. We are not going to look at what the other people are doing. Allow the rest of the people who are not members of agents of UDA to work on that. We had a technical committee who was sitting with IEBC. The rest of us, we were making sure the results from a polling station arrives the same way with IEBC. Once you were sure that the results from my polling station in Madaraka Primary School arrives in IEBC the same way that had been announced at that Madaraka Primary School, then we were sure that this election is ours. Yeah. Though with power, you never know what could have happened. But we thank the chairman of IEBC for standing firm. Yeah. Our worry was if they had announced another set of election results. Yeah.
Just last week, Kenya Kwanza government celebrated its first year in office.
Yes.
Like we had mentioned earlier, William Ruto, as the party leader of this party, ran on a UDA party ticket.
Yes.
1 year of Ruto's presidency as the executive director of the president's party. What would you illustrate as your biggest successes?
As UDA or as government?
Of course, it is the UDA government.
Now, you see, first of all, there are a few things that the president pronounced himself on during inauguration. And those were fulfilled the first day, like the one for the judiciary fund,
Yes.
the one for the police, the one for the police independence. That one was done the same day. The one for the judges, appointing the remaining judges. That one was done immediately on the appointment day. But there are so many other factors that have come into effect. One among them is what we are seeing at the countryside. If you drive from Nairobi all the way to Eldoret, Kericho, Kwale, Mombasa, all of us see there will be a bumper harvest. So the subsidy on fertilizer, we will now have a bumper harvest. So what does that mean? When we have a bumper harvest, the food production, the cost of food becomes lower, and the life cost becomes lower. So we expect in a few months' time that unga that when we came into power was 230. I believe in the next few months unaweza ingia kwa jirani na kuchotea gorogoro mbili ya mahindi na uende nyumbani, because we'll have a big harvest. They are predicting a record 44 million bags. So that one has never happened before. Now, this week or last week, they launched the social protection. The Ministry of Labor has launched another round of registering 800,000 into the social protection net. People with disability, extreme disability, the government is registering them now as we speak. The group of old people above 70 years, the government is replacing those who have exited and onboarding another group. And you remember the president has said, hiyo pesa ya social protection will be paid even before the salary of government employees. And that has happened for the last 4 months. So that is a big achievement for this government. Now, when he was signing the education charter, he said he is going to employ 54,000 teachers the first year and another batch of 54,000 in the next financial year. So far, the first financial year we have done over 54,000 teachers already employed. Around 56,000 teachers already employed. And in the budget you have seen they have put money for the next employment of teachers. And there have been promotion. You remember during that time of the last 2 financial years, there have been stagnation of promotions by teachers. Now, they are even doing interviews to promote teachers. On the first 2 months, they did what we call the Presidential Working Party to review the CBC. And on 1st of August, was it August, the president received the report on Presidential Working Party, which gave a mirage of issues that need to be done. And I think the implementation is on as we speak. Even the government went ahead to restructure the way university is being financed. So there is a new structure of the way government will finance the university education. To give an example, the government cannot be financing on courses that might not affect the economy of this country for just the sake of financing courses. So currently, you apply a certain course. If the course is aligned to what the government is intending to achieve, then the government gives you bursary for that purpose. So I think it's a very good way of doing of financing. Yeah. Remember, most of our universities had gone under. Yeah. It wouldn't make sense if a private university, is getting students from government and money from government. It doesn't make sense, and yet it is a private. Yes. Then if that is the case, then it should go all the way down even to private primary and secondary schools. Yeah. Because remember, government only gives capitation to students of public primary and secondary schools. But when we went to the university, government was subsidizing education for students in universities. Yeah. So I think that one have stopped. Yeah.
Good. There is this whole debate on the cost of living.
Yeah.
Of course, last week we saw an increase of prices of
Petrol.
And of course, many Kenyans look around. They have a feeling that sustaining life in Kenya is now becoming unbearable, and probably the government is not doing enough to help them carry that burden. As the UDA of the ruling party, are Kenyans being hard on this government, or the situation is not good?
There are some factors of costs that as a government you cannot be able to control. For example, the petrol or the fuel. We have seen Kenyans complaining about the cost of living. Yes, it's expensive. Even as an ED, when I saw the cost of fuel going to 211 shillings or 209, as a normal Kenyan, you would feel the effect immediately. Because if you left in the morning, you are fueling at 189. The next time you land at the petrol station, the same amount of money, if you are fueling at 1,000 shillings, you would get 5 liters of fuel, point something. In the evening, you can't fuel at the same. 1,000 will give you 4 point something liters. Remember, the previous government was subsidizing fuel, and it was only taking the subsidy to identified entrepreneurs. And remember, the same amount of subsidy the government was not able to account for it. When the president came in, he said, first of all, there is no subsidy. First of all, we remove subsidy of fuel because it is not sustainable. Because if you are taking a loan to subsidize fuel, then it doesn't make sense. And he kept on saying we must live within our means. So the current situation is not only in Kenya, it's across the world. Everywhere in the country, everywhere in the world. Uganda and Kenya, this fuel is almost the same in terms of per liter. It's only Tanzania that has a better fuel price. But soon, they will even come and overtake us. But what we have been promised by this government is that the effort that they have put in trying to cushion Kenyans in terms of fuel will start feeling the effect maybe in the next 2 or 3 months. Because the G2G, where government is trading with government. Remember previously, we were working on the open market, but currently it is G2G. Secondly, we are not trading with the dollars anymore when it comes to fuel. Kenya is buying fuel using Kenya shillings. Remember that time we were buying fuel using the dollar, and when you remove the dollar from the market, the dollar goes higher. So the effect of the dollar is not being felt at the moment because you are using Kenya shillings to buy the fuel. Though it is expensive at the moment, but government is trying to cushion members of the public using other means like low food prices. That one will help cushion the effect of fuel. Yeah.
Good. Now, we have had developments where, of course, sentiments from the Secretary General saying that since President William Ruto was elected on the UDA party, the party will play a very integral role in ensuring that the more than 167 promises made during the election point are implemented and are fully implemented, so to say. How far is the party with that?
Remember, the party is the government.
Yes.
So as a party, we are a support system of the government. So we all the time engage with our cabinet secretaries on the achievements as government. Unlike the opposition, where they dwell on what has not been achieved, as a party, we are dealing with what has been achieved. So we are going to tell the people what the government has been able to do, what opportunities are there. For example, the Hustler funds. When we started this government, people were thinking that was a joke by the president. But currently, the amount of money that have been dispersed and the people who have been able to participate in getting the Hustler fund are a lot of people. The mama mbogas of the day now can get a loan from Hustler fund, and by the end of the day, refund the same amount. And yet you have been able to push your product and get your profit. Remember the other day the president launched the e-bikes. Yes. Those e-bikes, with the fuel now that is coming in, I'm sure the popularity of the e-bikes will go high, because you only charge with maybe 100 shillings per day.
Yes.
And you do your rounds. By the end of the day, you have taken your clients to wherever place and you got your money. So the e-bikes are also one of the achievements of this government. So we sit very closely with our cabinet secretaries and we give them feedback on what the people are telling us when we visit them in their homes, and also in their when we are doing the grassroots mobilization. You know, we interact closely with the normal mwananchi. So we give them feedback. That's why I think with the wisdom of the president, our Secretary General sits in the cabinet.
Yes, yes.
So that he can get feedback and tell members of the public where the government is heading in their homes or in the places where they stay. Yeah.
Political parties merger within the Kenya Kwanza Alliance progressively is becoming a hot potato.
Very hot.
As the ED of the biggest player in the coalition, what is informing that position? The need of summing up the whole Kenya Kwanza Alliance into one mega political unit that will present one candidate come 2027.
The unity of the country. That is the baseline. Because we know, if you read the Kriegler report, one of the biggest causes of the 2007 elections, post-election violence, is the big number of political parties. And the political parties became community parties, eventually tribal parties. We are trying to dissuade members to stop forming political parties that are community-based. Yes, and we are not coercing political parties to fold. We are encouraging them to join at their will.
Yes.
But you know, in most cases, political parties have been used as a bargaining tool and so forth. If they find sense in joining, well and good. If they don't find sense in joining, we'll accommodate them as they are. Because people have different reasons why they form political parties. But the real reason why people join political parties is to gain power. But now you are in a coalition that is already in power. So it will only make sense if you build that power, become bigger, so that all of us can fit in that power. But we are not coercing anyone. We are asking them to join the big party of UDA, because currently it is the biggest party in the country as we speak.
Okay.
Yeah.
As we wrap up, the party is planning for
Grassroots elections.
We want to take this opportunity just to ask you to illustrate to members of the party, those ones who will be interested in running for various positions, starting from the polling station up to the highest level. What will be the procedures? What will be the qualifications, and how is the party prepared to ensure that it has credible grassroots party elections compared to the nominations that we had before we went to the 2022 by-elections?
Now, first of all, it's the requirement for the purpose of the election of 2022. But now we are our own party grassroots election, so that we have rightful leaders from the polling center up to the national. We had a meeting with the party leader last week on Tuesday, and we went through the process of party grassroots elections. We expect the grassroots election to start on the 5th of December of 2020. The reason why we are putting it on the 5th of December is because we will have most of the polling centers are schools. And remember, immediately after 27th of October, KCSE starts. And after that, it ends at the end of November. So immediately after that, we embark on grassroots elections. we expect to have the grassroots election happen on the same day for all the polling centers. Now, when we are going to do the elections only at the polling centers. Remember, there is a difference between a polling center and a polling station. Yes. I'll give an example. A place where you go and poll and do your election is a polling center. But sometimes, if it is in a school, if it's a big polling center, you will have several, around 27,000 polling centers in the country. Now, at the polling center, we'll have several positions that people will buy at the polling center. Remember, our base is the polling center. After the polling center, now we'll only have delegates voting from the ward. Those will be elected at the polling center will now go to the ward and vote. So from the ward upwards, so we will have gadgets that we are going to use at the polling center. We are going to procure gadgets at all the polling centers of this country. So what will happen at the polling center? We will elect 20 delegates at the polling center. One will have, we'll have 4 members representing the youth. So that means the 2 women and 2 male. Now, we'll also have 4 members representing the farmers. So all types of farmers, you know. We have the farmers for, maybe some are coffee farmers, others are maize farmers, others are we call fish farmers, others are all those. Now, immediately after that, we'll have 3 members representing religious groups in that area. And the religious group might be Christians. If they are all Christians, we might be having Pentecostals, wale wa kupiga drum. If it's a Muslim area, you will just decide the way. We'll have 4 members representing micro, small, and medium enterprises, and medium as well as large enterprises. At least 2 from either gender. Whenever there are 3 members, we must make sure 2 is of either gender. 3 members representing various categories. So did I say 4 farmers? Sorry, it's 3. 3 members representing various categories of farmers, not 4. 1 member representing special interest group. We have said the PWD. We have, and 2 other delegates. So we have 3 members representing religious groups, 4 representing micro, small, and large enterprises, 3 members representing professional groups. Professional groups include teachers' profession, bankers, and so forth. 4 members representing the youth. They will now pick what we call the polling center executive organ. This is the lowest executive organ of the party, which is at the polling center. Those ones are the chairperson, secretary, organizing secretary, treasurer, women leader, and the youth leader. Yeah. So once they have formed the executive, those are the people who will be running the party affairs at the polling center. But remember, the delegates from the polling center, what delegate from the 20 from each polling center combined. I will take an example. If a ward in, for example, Kuresoi ward in Nakuru has let's say 7 polling centers.
Yes.
So the number of people who will participate in that election to pick a ward delegate will be 140.
Yes.
Will be 140.
Yes.
Those 140 now will pick the ward executive. And the ward executive will consist of the following officials: the chairperson, the vice chair, PWD, MSME, representative of the farmer, representative of religious group, representative of professional groups, representative and the member of the county assembly, if there is one.
Yes.
Because in some places we didn't elect a member of county assembly because maybe we were defeated by the other side. So those who will form after the ward now will move to the constituency. So anybody who formed the 20 at the ward will now move to the constituency. So if the constituency, if it is our constituency, make it 101. This one now will participate in forming the ward, the constituency executive.
Yes.
So the 101 members will participate in an election at the constituency. So you see, as we move upwards, the election becomes simpler and simpler.
Yeah. Yes.
The toughest election will be the grassroots. And we will soon be giving out the modalities on how to register as a member, to register to participate in that at the polling center. Yeah. I hope that is a bit clear.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a bit clear, yeah.
Now, when you say that the elections will be electronic, are you alluding to the fact that there will be no ballot boxes?
No ballot boxes.
No ballot boxes.
Yes. We will. You will be identified by the gadget. We will feed our gadgets with the register of UDA members. Once you are identified by the gadget, then you will go and participate in an election electronically. But you can trace your results, because one among the things that we are trying to achieve is that at 5 in the evening, or at the elections that we are trying to achieve is that at 5 in the evening, or if the elections are going to be from 10 to 2, at 2:01 we'll have the results, because it's electronic. So immediately you vote, it automatically, it automatically uploads your results, your vote, and it counts progressively as you vote. Yeah.
Are you assuring UDA members that the problem will be free and fair?
The advantage of gadgets is that you can trace your vote, because you can request for a register or a statement at the end of the day to see how the people voted. Yeah. So it will be very free and very fair, because if at the back end people can be able to see that this person has voted and the vote has already gone to this other person. So at the end of the day, it will be a free, simple. We are going to make it so simple and free and fair. Yeah.
Good. Maybe lastly, elections, are they going to be staggered county by county, or
No.
they will be done simultaneously?
We are going to do,
Yes.
we are striving to do the results, the election on the same day.
Okay.
So what you are seeing at the moment at the party is preparedness for the elections. On 29th of October,
Yes.
no, of September, we are going to have the first national, what is the name? National Governing Council meeting that will be held at the Bomas of Kenya. As per our constitution, the National Governing Council are for all the elected leaders. It's for all the elected leaders. And the notice is already out. I'm sure you have seen it across in our social media platforms, and it's already in our website. At the same time, we've put it in the paper today. Yes, so people can look at the people who are going to participate in that national governing council. And our party leader will lead the National Governing Council meeting on that day. So we will take members through the election process on that day, and we will ask them to also look at the constitution. so that they can ask as many questions as possible to enrich the process of making the election a free and fair across the country. Once we are done with the polling center elections, then we will move to the next stage of ward elections, constituency elections, and eventually set a date for the national elections to help us elect our UDA national leaders election. So people should be able to see what is in for them at all levels. Yes, we'll also give out the amount of money that is supposed to be paid for any person who is going to participate to become a leader in each level. So once we agree on the figures, then on the 29th it will be announced by the head of the leader of our party.
Quite elaborate. Now, as we finish this interview, what is the future of UDA party?
The future of UDA party is as bright as the sun. I keep imploring people to join UDA party because we are looking forward in the next election to have the majority in parliament. And you know, with the government that was at that moment, we were able to get the highest number of MPs and leaders in all categories. So imagine now when we are in government. It's for you to derive that equation and see if we were able to win when we didn't have the government. So what about when we have the government? So in 2027, we'll have the party leader as our president. We'll have the deputy president as our deputy party leader. We'll have the majority in both houses. In fact, we are looking forward to have 2/3 majority in all our houses, all the way from the constituencies even to the ward assemblies. So we are looking forward to have a very, very vibrant party. And as you can see, most of our members are youthful members. So we also encourage our youth to take up their roles and positions as we go to these elections, because they have a lot of time to push this party. There is a way in which youth can be able to push an agenda using social media, using their WhatsApp groups, using all kinds of means to make our party popular across the country. So we are looking forward to having a very, very vibrant party for our future. This party will be bigger than KANU. It will stay longer than all of us. I can promise members that. Because as a party, what we are doing to put the structures in place is for the future of this party. Yes. Positions will come, members of the sitting in those positions will come and go. But the positions will remain and the party will remain. Yes, we want the party to be as strong as all the other parties in the world that have been able to run countries, like the ANC, like the Democrats in US, and many others. Yes. And we want to encourage members. At the moment, when we were building the party, we had an issue with the ORPP. We had an issue of joining the party. To join the party, you must have resigned from the other party.
Yes.
And when we sat down with the ORPP, we agreed that you can resign online and join online. So currently, with *509#, you can check your status of the party. And if you are not in UDA, please follow the steps of resigning from the party you are in and joining UDA party. Yes. Use *509#. Yes.
Asante sana. Bwana Idi, that brings us to the end of this exclusive interview.
Yes.
It has been good. We want to congratulate you and wish UDA party, the whole secretariat, the best of luck as you plan for the forthcoming party grassroots and also the future of the party.
Thank you very much.
Asante.
I hope the members of the crew are members of UDA. please check star 509 hash and confirm your status.
Yeah, asante. Asante. Sorry, we took extra time kidogo.
Yeah, too long.
But
Wameninyonga hawa watu, maswali ya huyu